Perfect. Right. Let's start. So, hello everyone. My name is Ellie and I will be your host for this evening. We have BP with us tonight who are doing their final webinar in their series, and they're here to talk to you guys all about their assessment centres and to answer any questions that you guys might have. So we're going to be hearing from Robin and Rupali from the early careers team at BP, as well as two current apprentices at BP, Chand and Tate. So just before I pass over to Rupali, just a couple of things for you all. If you do have any questions throughout this presentation, then please just pop them in the chat box and the team will do their best to answer the questions throughout this session. They do only have 30 minutes, so they will do their best to try and answer as many as possible. And just to let you know that the webinar will be recorded and uploaded to our Success at School YouTube channel. So if you do want to watch the webinar post the event, then you can watch it as many times as you like afterwards. So Rupali, over to you.
Thanks, Ellie, and hi everyone. So yeah, as Ellie said, my name's Rupali and I'm joined here today by my colleague Robin and Chand and Tate. So we're going to jump straight in and talk to you a little bit about assessment centres here at BP. But before we go into that, I'm just going to give you a quick intro to BP, just in case for those who missed some of the other webinars or for those who just have a quick recap. So in terms of today's session, as I mentioned, I'm going to give you a quick intro to BP. I'm going to talk to you about the application process here, and then we're going to go into more detail about the assessment centre. Also give you some sort of hints and tips around the assessment centre, and then you'll get to meet our lovely apprentices and hear a little bit about their journey. So BP. So these are our behaviours and values that we tend to try and abide by, and it's really important to take note of these, and more information will sort of come to light as you understand how our assessment centres work. You could find this information online, but our main values that we focus on are live our purpose, play to win, and care for others. So these break down to kind of thinking about safety, making a positive impact, doing the right thing, knowing the competition, making sure there's continuous improvement, being accountable for your actions, being kind to others, prioritising the team, and then also putting yourself in other people's shoes. So before I jump into the application process, I'm just going to give you a quick recap of the apprenticeships that we have here at BP. So we have a number of different business areas that you can apply for on our website. Please bear in mind some of these roles have now closed. However, we do still have a number of our roles that are still open on our website, which we will share at the end. So we've got P&C, which is HR. We've got digital. We've got business, engineering, and then trading and shipping. And then there's some sort of other sub-branches that come off those bigger business areas. Starting salary, depending on whether you apply for a foundation or a degree apprenticeship programme, is £19,600, £24,100 if you apply for a degree programme. For anyone that joins us, so we're looking for people to join us in September 2024. In your first month's paycheck, you'll get a one-off sign-on bonus of £3,000. You're also entitled to a £1,500 wellbeing allowance every year as well. So you can spend that on a spa day or a massage or a gym membership, completely up to you. You also get 20% flexible benefits, which is part of from your base salary. Completely up to you how you spend that, whether you want to sort of cash it out or sort of invest in shares or your pension, completely up to you. You get 28 days annual leave. And then on top of that, you also get 2 wellbeing days as well. You're also able to flex your bank holidays. So if you want to move them around because you've got other things planned, that's an option as well. We also feel that we provide a supportive environment, and all our sort of early careers cohort, when they join us, they have a buddy or a mentor to support them in terms of that transition from going from school or college into the world of work. There's also a number of clubs and societies that you can join, depending on what you're interested in. There's lots on offer. So those, I know sometimes we get a question that people feel like they might be missing out on the university experience if they go for an apprenticeship program. But from our experience, we've heard it's not the case at all, because there's a lot of sort of social events going on here at BP. And that's sort of also including our grads and our interns that sort of join us as well. So all our programs can last between 2 and 4 years, again, depending on whether you choose foundation or degree. So I've just highlighted T&S, which is trading and shipping there, just to let you know the salary for this is slightly higher. So if you are curious or just want to know more details can be found on our website. So the BP application process. So we've got 4 stages, part of our recruitment process. The first stage is a quick questionnaire. So really simple 5-minute task, just to sort of get to know you very quickly in terms of assessing your eligibility for each of our roles. So we do put the requirements on each of our job descriptions. So have a look at this before you apply, just to make sure that you are eligible. I also want to just highlight, you can only apply for one of our programs. So maybe take your time a little bit in terms of looking at the different programs that we're open for and which you think will be best for you to apply to in terms of the things you've done at school or college or what you're interested in. But please just make sure you try and apply as soon as possible, because we do recruit on a rolling basis, so we can close roles earlier than usual. The next stage after assessing your eligibility is the online assessments. So here we've got some bespoke assessments that are tailored to our values and our behaviours. So these are some of the things that I mentioned at the beginning of the call. And it's just to understand sort of how you work, how you sort of approach things, just to understand sort of kind of, you know, things that you've possibly done in the past and how they align with what we do as an organisation. The third stage is the on-demand video interview. So this is bringing your application to life a little bit. Here we want to assess your motivation. So we want to know why you've applied for this role. What's your interest in BP? Why an apprenticeship program? So we just want to find a little bit more information about the reason why you've applied for this particular program and with us as a business. And then the final stage is one of our assessment centres. So our assessment centres are bespoke, again, just to make sure that we're sort of looking at values and behaviours that align to what we're looking for, depending on the programme that you've applied for. So you come in with us for half day. There'll be a number of activities that Robin will go into a little bit more detail about in terms of what you do, but it's just for us to get to really know you in person, also a chance for you to get to see the office, and also a chance for you to network and meet the assessors, people from the business, hear their stories, and also meet the apprentices as well. So as much as it's about us getting to know you, it's also about you getting to know us. So the assessment centre, why do we do it? So as I mentioned, this is the final stage of the recruitment process. So we're not looking for a lot of a technical knowledge. We completely understand people will have limited experience. So that's not what is important to us here. What it really is important to us is about the motivation, the enthusiasm, ideas that you might have. We really want to know why you've applied for this particular role. So really, this is a chance for you to bring that to life. And that could be looking at things that you've done in the past. Like I said, things that you've done at school or college, projects, things that you do outside of school and college, hobbies that you have. It's just to find out a lot more about you. So all the assessors that take part in the assessment centre are from that specific discipline. So depending on which role or programme that you've applied for. And then you'll also have a number of us there from the early careers team to support throughout the day as well, and just to help sort of navigate you through the different tasks. All our assessment centres are taking place face-to-face. So again, depending on which program you apply for, you'll be invited into one of our offices. So we've got offices in London, in central London, that includes Canary Wharf, also in Surrey, and then also in Reading. If you are based slightly further away from London, if that's one of the roles that you apply for, we will try and kind of, make sure that you get to see the site or get as close as possible. If not, we will definitely arrange something for you so you can see the environment potentially that you might be working in. And again, you get to meet people from the business and they can sort of talk to you about what it's like to work there. So all the exercises that have been created are set within the energy industry. So very much focused on BP, what our values are, what our mission is, what we're trying to achieve. So when doing your research or just sort of preparing yourself, these are some of the things to think about, but it's also to give you an insight, what have we been up to, what have we been doing, just so you understand a little bit more about our organisation. So I will hand it over to Robin now to talk a little bit more detail in terms of the assessment centre and what to expect. But feel free to pop any questions that you have into the chat. Over to you, Robin.
Thanks, Rupali. So just picking up there from what Rupali was talking about for an assessment centre in terms of what to expect. So it's used when employers are looking to assess behaviours and competencies specific to the role or organisational culture. So the concept of competencies, so a competency is a skill that we're looking for. You can ask Google, you can type in any search engine about typical kind of competencies that you might get asked at an assessment centre, and you can also add whether it's a graduate or an apprentice assessment centre, and you will get lots of options, and you can use those to help you prepare with the typical questions that you might get asked, and then to think about your responses. You need to be specific in your example. We recommend that when you're talking about a competency that you use the STAR technique, which again you can Google to see what that is, but that gives you the situation, the task, the action, the result, and what you need to do in that's a way that you describe the situation and you bring it down, so you funnel it to make it more narrow, so that then you talk about what was your action that you played in that particular scenario that demonstrates that competence. Okay, so you might also have a group activity where we'll be asking you to might be solve a problem, or it might be come up with a presentation or something like anything like that you need to work with other people that are in that group. What we're looking for in that group setting is about how you interact with other people, and in those interactions how you align to our values that Rupali mentioned earlier. You might also have something like a role play, again, where we would give you a scenario and say, well, how would you handle that? Analytical case studies, again, is about us giving you the information on the day and seeing how you interpret and how you can respond to that. There wouldn't be anything we'd ask you to prepare specifically in advance. We give you everything that you need to know on the day. But we do expect that you prepare for the assessment centre in the ways that we've just mentioned about researching what these activities might look like and how you might answer those, and researching how that aligns to BP as a whole. So we do expect you to know some information about BP and the role that you're applying for. We don't expect you to know chapter and verse, like Rupali said. We accept that people are young and early in their career, but there is a lot of information that's available out there on our website or other sources. BP are in the media quite a lot, so it is not too difficult to find information about us. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, great. So There's some tips on here following on from what I've just said about how to prepare. So doing some research. You will have seen potentially in earlier presentations about our transition from being an oil and gas company to an integrated energy company. And that's something that we'd suggest that you do some research on, partly for the assessment centre, but also partly so that you're aware of who we are and can align your motivations to joining us to be part of the solutions. Take time to read through any briefing guides you've been sent ahead of the day. We always hold a candidate briefing before the assessment centre for candidates that we know are coming to the assessment centre. So try to join that call if you can, and try to give some thought ahead of that call about any questions you might have. Crucially, the last one with the hands is about letting us know in advance of the day if you've got any adjustments that you need us to make for you. We want to make sure that everybody is able to do their very best and to show us the best of who they are. We are very open to adjustments that people might need, and we will do everything we can to make sure that everybody's got that best chance. Okay. Next slide then, please. Okay, and here's some terms and some ideas for things that we might be looking for in an assessment centre. You can see the first one, we've got a natural collaborator. So we talked about potentially having a group activity where we're looking about how you work with other people. Commercial acumen, that comes under the research that you would have done to understand the role that you're applying for, to understand a bit about BP and the markets in which we play. Learning agility, as we want to know that people can take on board new information and they can learn from that information, and that they can learn in different ways. Creating a more sustainable world that aligns very much with our goals and our transition from being an oil and gas company to an integrated energy company. Diversity of thought. Now, for us, that really means that we're not looking for an identikit candidate. We are very keen on knowing who you are as an individual and what you as an individual can bring to the companies. We don't want everybody to be the same, because that's not how you get the best performing teams. So we would encourage you to try to be yourself. Drive and aptitude is we really want to see that you've got motivation for working in the role that you've applied for doing an apprenticeship, and for working with BP and helping us to make that transition. Inclusion is really important at BP. We have really strong diversity, equity and inclusion behaviours and expectations, so we will want to see how you meet with those. And then finally, reimagining energy, which again, if you Google that, if you look on our website, you'll get lots of information about our transition. Next slide, please. Okay, and so just to add a few more top tips to what we've talked about already, and some of this seems really obvious but can be easy to forget when you're in your busy lives doing school or college and part-time work and applications and hobbies and all those things. So we've said join the briefing sessions, let us know if you've got any adjustments that you need us to make. Try and get a good night's sleep before. It will be a tiring day, so try to make sure that you're managing your energy before and after. Eat and drink throughout the day. We will provide plenty of opportunities to have a drink, and we will provide catering, so there will be food for you to eat. Again, let us know if you have any particular dietary requirements, and we will meet those. Don't be too competitive. We know it's a competitive process. There will be more applicants that we see than we have positions available. We know we want you to do your best, but we don't want you to do your best at the expense of everybody else who's there. That's not a value that we hold. Similarly, do make sure that you make a contribution. Don't sit back and let everybody else take the limelight. If we don't hear from you, we can't assess those positive behaviours that we see or positive comments that we get from you. Make sure you plan your travel route ahead of time. We do offer travel support, so when you are invited to an assessment centre, you will be invited to work with a company that we have that will make those travel arrangements for you and will crucially pay up front for those travel arrangements. We don't want people to be out of pocket. If for any reason you can't use that travel company, you do have the option to make your own travel arrangements and reclaim, but it can be a bit slow to pay you back for any expenses. During the day, if an activity doesn't go as you want it to, if you don't feel that you did your best, or if something else that's upset you, do make every effort to put that behind you. One of the reasons that we have an assessment centre on top of the stages that people have already been through is that we are, again, looking to make sure that everybody's got the best chance of success. So one thing that's not gone so well doesn't mean that you're out of the running, and it doesn't even mean that it's not gone very well. Is sometimes you might feel like that was negative, but actually it might not be. You don't really know what we're looking for and what we're writing down on our sheets of paper. So if it feels negative to you, let it go, move on, do your best in the next one. Be inclusive of, as we've said, maintaining your energy, maintaining your positivity. So if you've got this far, right to the very end, to an assessment centre, it means we've seen something in your application and assessment stages so far that we want to hear more about. So be positive that you're there. Again, I know it's really difficult to say enjoy it, but we do generally find that people tell us that the assessment centres were more enjoyable than they thought, and generally were less stressful than they thought. Rupali and myself and the other members of the assessment and facilitation team, we are all there to help you do your best and to give you what you need. All right, Rupali.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, so I'm going to now hand it over to our apprentices here to talk a little bit about their journey and what they're currently doing here at BP. So I'm just going to hand it over to you, Tate, to introduce yourself.
Can you hear me? Sorry, my mic wasn't coming off.
Yep, we can hear you, Tate.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Hi, I'm Tate and I'm a P&C Solutions apprentice. Why I chose an apprenticeship in the first place was, being quite blunt, getting paid while studying. The whole idea of an apprenticeship made me question going to university as a whole, just because of what it meant for me in a timing situation, and being able to, as my second point say, gain corporate work experience, and being ahead of people my age when they're finished at uni. I've already got 3-4 years in the business, which is just invaluable in interview scenarios and applications. And my third point was that I was always just okay at everything at school. I never found a passion subject. So to me, dedicating 4 years and a lot of money to a degree in a subject that didn't give me a massive drive just did not make sense for me. So a little background is, for my A-levels, I did economics, English literature and French. Again, I just didn't find any passion to carry any of those. I applied to university, however, a school does push it, so I thought it was the right track. Applied to university, but at the same time, multiple apprenticeships, and I received 2 offers, one from BP and one from BAE Systems. So why did I choose BP? It's very global business, so there's opportunities for travel later down the line. There's huge connections, and it's a great name. It is. I don't think I know anybody who I've said, oh, I'm working for BP, and they go, oh, what's that? So that's always a perk. I really believed in the aim, the net zero future of BP, and the drive to just promote more sustainable and energy sources for the world. It also had a change of image recently, and being a part of a company that is trying to reimagine themselves is an inspiring environment to be in. And a very important point is that it was a good location for me, so I was able to get in and out of work quite easily. The application process for me went the assessment, the higher view interview, and then the in-person interview or assessment centres. And my top tips and reflections is, don't think any example or story is too trivial or isn't professional enough for an interview. I used some crazy examples that just showed a core rounding skill like teamwork or something, but they could have been about anything. So dig deep for what some examples are really about. And then don't let yourself get too nervous. I showed up obviously nervous, and everyone was so lovely, settled my nerves, and it just meant that I felt a lot more confident in what I was saying and came across a lot clearer, which is important when you're trying to present yourself. Stay yourself throughout the whole process. Don't try and fit into what you think BP is looking for. Just come as yourself, answer as yourself, and you'll feel a lot better about the whole process, I'm sure. And always pin yourself to the values and culture notes of BP. They were mentioned earlier in the slide deck, but they are really what ground all the employees and day-to-day work of all the employees at BP. So target all your answers to try and put across that message. And then what does my today look like as an apprentice at BP? Started in September. I'm now sat in a great team, and I continuously mingle with the other new joiners. I'm learning slowly but surely how to work and take on more and more responsibility within my current rotational role. And I'm appreciating the flexible and engaging work-life balance at BP. So being able to take time for my studies and everybody being very understanding about it. I did have nerves about that in being able to balance work and school and life in general, but I found BP to be a very understanding environment, and yeah, loved it so far, and wish you all the best of luck.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tate. That's been really useful. So I'm going to hand it over to you now, Chand.
Hi everyone, I'm Chan, and I'm a digital apprentice working in the service engineer role. I'm going to give you a quick brief of my journey to BP and tips for the interviews and why I chose an apprenticeship over uni. So I studied A-level. When I was 18, I was studying for my final A-levels in physics, maths, computer science. And during A-levels, I applied to uni and also many apprenticeships that year. I was unsuccessful with apprenticeship schemes that year, and after A-level results day, I had the grades to go to King's Uni, but opted to defer the entry to this September and took a gap year out. During this year out, I studied IT, worked side jobs, and again applied to apprentice schemes, and BP was one of them. And luckily enough, during the summer, I completed the final assessment stage and received an offer. And in September, I decided that I was going to choose BP over King's. And I'm going to give you the reasons why. Firstly, the hands-on experience and knowledge you gain here, being in the industry, rather than learning theory at uni, is what made me choose this. There's also lots of smart people here that you can work with, lots of experienced people. You get a lot of knowledge, you build strong networks, which will help you in your career in the future. Of course, like Tate said, the pay is great and there's a lot of benefits and perks on top of this. And there's so much career opportunities that you can do here. And on top of that, you also get tons of free training and courses, which will help you with your self-development. And then tips for the assessment center and interviews is, as Robin said, do your research on the company. That will help you feel relaxed and confident going into there. And then the confidence, also believe in what you're saying when you say it, and show genuine interest in the company and role. That's all I have. And if you have any questions for us, put in the chat and we'll try to answer it if we have time. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chant. So I am aware that it is 7 o'clock already. That went super quickly, which is why we all try to talk really fast. But if anyone's got any questions just before we go, happy to stay on an extra couple of minutes. Yeah, feel free to pop them in the chat or take yourself off mute, whatever is easier.
If there aren't any specific questions, then I have one that they can both answer. If you were an 18-year-old again, what is one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Is that for me and Chand?
Yeah, for either of you or both of you.
Okay, I'll try and answer quite quickly and let Chan get a word in as well. But I only just turned 19, so I'm still very much in the 18-year-old mindset. I only left school in June and went straight into BP. But all the advice I could give is when school, because schools still are quite geared towards uni, and don't let it cloud your own view or expectations for yourself. If you know that it's not right for yourself, don't let anybody around you tell you that it's the only way to go about it, because I'm so glad that I didn't listen to the majority of people saying, what, no way, you're not going to uni, or you have to, or a degree is necessary, etc., etc. I'm gaining so much more, and I've heard so many, especially parents, which is interesting, more parents than children have said how I've made such a smart decision. So go with your gut on whether an apprenticeship or uni is right for you.
Great. And Chand?
I would say at 18, I know you don't have a lot of time because you have to get the offers out, but try and be patient and try and make up your mind first, which is hard to do, which is why I took the year out, if that's something you'd like to do, to make up your mind and defer the entry and try apply to more schemes. But I would say make it your choice. Don't I know it's hard for some people, but do what you would like to do, not what your parents or what your family or other people pressure you to do. It's about your choice, and which is why I'm happy where I am right now, because I made my own choice.
Very good advice. Well, thank you guys, and thank you all for attending this evening. And thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to do this. I hope you guys found it as interesting as we all did. And hopefully you'll get to meet the team very soon in person. But yeah, that's all from me. So have a lovely evening.